but Lord Mountbatten advises the Crown of the Chamber of Princes that it's not viable for most of you. You can't survive as independent units. But in this plan, they could join either Pakistan or India, depending upon several factors, but mainly the factor of geographical proximity. Lord, all these facts, my Lord, would be necessary as a process of connecting the dots for me to, Lord, persuade your lordships to reach a particular conclusion. Even otherwise, whichever way, my Lord, your lordships would like to ultimately decide, these facts would be relevant, my Lord. Therefore, my Lord, I am placing only those facts which are relevant, my Lord, to the issue. Just a few weeks before becoming the vice president of the interim government, Jawaharlal Nehru clearly stated that no princely state could prevail militarily against the army of independent India. This is, my Lord, the first step for unification of the Federation of India, which eventually became Union of India. This is July 46. Then, my Lord, 9th December 1946, Constituent Assembly of India was formed. But there is no dispute on this date. Lord, Jammu and Kashmir had 4 representatives, including late Sheikh Abdullah. But the relevant parties, when more and more princely states started acceding and accepting the Constitution of India, their representatives also kept on being added, and they started participating in framing of our Constitution. And, my Lord, I will come to that, my Lord, at an appropriate.
One clarification.
Yes.
The 4 representatives of Jammu and Kashmir were there from the beginning or only in October?
No, not from the beginning. They came, my Lord, subsequently.
49, I think they came.
Yeah, yes. 49, my Lord.
49?
It comes. That date will come.
June 1949.
Yeah, yes. That date will also come. And I may, my Lord, at the outset, my Lord, just flag it. It would come in the chronological order. All these states who eventually became part of the Union of India had their differently worded instruments of accession. Some of them have said that taxation would be within our domain only. But thereafter, my Lord, as the legislative and the constitutional history progresses, this is how countries are formed. When, my Lord, we have more than one federal units, and it's unlike American federalism where they entered into a contract to form the union. We didn't adopt, my Lord, that model in a very wise, my Lord, foresight of our forefathers. That they did not choose that option. They voluntarily started joining and participating in the process of constitution making. Then, my Lord, January 1947, Nehru, in his capacity as the vice president of the interim government, which included both present-day India and Pakistan, clearly said that independent India would not accept the divine right of kings. So this is January 1947. The stand of India and the party which led the freedom struggle was, we will not accept divine right of kings. We are going for a democratic setup. And that stand remained consistent, as I'll point out. Then, Lord, 22nd January 1947, Lord, the Constituent Assembly of India adopted objective resolution. Lord, my learned senior, my Lord, read only one part, my Lord, which is para 3. Lord, let me read para 3 and then rest of them. These were the broad, Lord, kind of objection reasons based upon which the Constitution was to be framed. Para 3. Declared that princely states that had joined the Union of India, whether with their present boundaries or with such others as may be determined by the Constituent Assembly, and thereafter according to the law of the Constitution, shall possess and retain the status of autonomous units, together with residuary powers, and exercise all powers and functions of government and administration, save and except such powers and functions as are vested in or assigned to the Union. Lord, the interpretation given by the petitioner was that the autonomy was the foundational stone of the constitutional making. Lord, this autonomy will have to be understood from the subsequent paragraphs. States are still autonomous in case of, Lord, list 2, Schedule 7. etc. There are several provisions giving them an internal autonomy while being a part of the larger Union of India. Paragraph 4, this, according to me, should be read. Declared that all power and authority of the sovereign independent India, its constituent parts and organs of the government are derived from the people. The seeds of democracy born for the first time. That the sovereignty would vest in we, the people of India. Then 5, declared that there shall be guaranteed and secured to all the people of India justice, social, economic and political, equality of status. Kindly mark this, equality of status was the above goal while framing the constitution. One union or one segment of the Union of India cannot be deprived of the rights which are enjoyed by rest of the countrymen. Then 7, declared that there shall be maintained the integrity of the territory of the Republic and its sovereign rights on land, sea and air according to justice and law of civilized nations. And 8, declared that this ancient land attains its rightful and honored place in the world and makes it full willing so and so, so and so, so and so. Now, your Lordship, kindly see the next day, 25th January 47, the resolution for the establishment of the Union Powers Committee in the Constituent Assembly was passed. Lord, your Lordships can skip the next day, Lord, a statement by Clement Attlee, the then Prime Minister of Lord Britain. Then, my Lord, 17/4/1947, the first report of Union Power Committee was that is, my Lord, of the Constituent Assembly, was published widely, expanding the scope of phrases defense, foreign affairs, communications, and powers necessary to raise the finances required. Further, the said committee further recommended in para 3 powers and subject which were inherent or implied or resultant from the express powers of the Union, that is judiciary, services, RBI, etc. It was also hoped that certain other subjects would be included in the Union list or that like insurance, planning, banking, patents, etc. Lord, this is the first report. Lord, the note of the petitioner, my Lord, which I have quoted, does not mention, my Lord, about this first report. They have directly gone to the second report. Therefore, my Lord, this has its relevance in the chronology. I have placed it. Lord, second, the date can be, my Lord, skipped. Nothing turns on that. Constituent Assembly resolution appointing Union Constitution Committee, etc. Lord, 3rd June is an important date. 3rd June 1947. The legislative representatives of the Indian National Congress, the Muslim League, and the Sikh community came to an agreement with Lord Mountbatten on what has come to be known as 3rd June Plan or Mountbatten Plan. This plan was the last plan for. Lord, all these facts, my Lord, would be necessary as a process of connecting the dots for me to, Lord, persuade your Lordships to reach a particular conclusion. Even otherwise, whichever way, my Lord, your Lordships would like to ultimately decide, these facts would be relevant, my Lord. Therefore, my Lord, I am placing only those facts which are relevant, my Lord, to the issue. Lord, now Mountbatten Plan comes. This is the only plan, Lord, for independent India, my Lord, last plan. The British government proposed a plan announced on 3rd June. My Lord, I'm sorry, Mr. My learned senior, Mr. Dwivedi points out that this resolution, which I say, my Lord, objective, Lord, was thereafter passed, framed and placed before the Constituent Assembly in 46, which was approved by the Constituent Assembly. And the preamble, my Lord, draws inspiration from that one. The Lordships have seen the words.
There was a lot of discussion also on that.
Yes.
Objective resolution.
Yes, my Lord.
It was proposed by Pandit Jawaharlal Nehru. Yeah.
On 13 December 46.
Dr. Ambedkar criticized a lot about that.
Yes.
He said that there are many things which are missing in what we have promised.
Lord, as a matter of fact, the first letter of Dr. Ambedkar, while introducing the draft constitution, makes a very interesting detail.
No, his speech of 4th of December 1948.
Yes. My lord, when we go through the Constituent Assembly debates of India, my lord, we really feel as citizens that we were in safest of the hands. My lord, now this proposal contains, my lord, these principles. Principle of partition of British India was accepted by the British government. Then second, successor governments would be given dominion status, autonomy and sovereignty to both countries, that is India and Pakistan. Then third and fourth and fifth is relevant. Both can make their own constitution. And fifth, princely states were given the right to join either India or Pakistan. Princely states had no option to remain independent under this plan. It comes thereafter in 1947, but Lord Mountbatten advises the Crown of the Chamber of Princes that it's not viable for most of you. You can't survive as independent units. But in this plan, they could join either Pakistan or India, depending upon several factors, but mainly the factor of geographical proximity. For example, hypothetical example, Delhi can't join Pakistan because of the land route not being available, etc.